Hey guys, Eric with Blue Line Fishing. Welcome back to the channel. Your time's important to me as always. And what we're going to do in today's time is we're going to do an in-depth review of this Quantum Smoke S3 bait casting reel. It's one I've wanted to get my hands on for a while now. We're going to check it out, see what it's all about. Stick with me. I think you'll enjoy it. Okay guys, let's jump into this. So this is the Quantum Smoke S3 bait casting reel. I'm going to give you the manufacturer stats on it, and then I'm going to break it down and we're going to go a lot more in depth on this particular bait casting reel. So this model is a 6.1 to 1 gear ratio. If you're not familiar with gear ratios, what that means is for every single revolution of the handle, so one revolution of the handle, this spool is going to rotate 6.1 times. This reel also comes in a 5-1 to 1, 7-3 to 1, and I believe also an 8-1 to 1. But I chose this 6-1 to 1 because I do a lot of power fishing as far as spinnerbaits, crankbaits, chatterbaits, things like that. And it's a little easier for me to maintain the speed I want, I have found at least, with gear ratio that's in the 6s. So that's the gear ratio on it. The braking on this is 25 pounds of drag. That's quite a bit for a reel that's this small, and you can see it's a low profile design. If I palm the reel, and I'm going to put this on a rod after a while and show you some casting with it as well. I haven't put line on it yet, but we're going to throw some line on it, put it on a rod, and I'm going to demo it for you guys. But it's a very compact design, but yet it has an oversized spool, which helps with casting distance on it because you're not using that small spool with a small amount of line. So it's going to get a little more rotation and you're going to have that little bit better casting distance with it. Another reason I chose this reel. Has an oversized handle on it. It's a 95 millimeter handle, which you can generate a little more torque with. So that's kind of a big deal to me on that as well. Some of the other things on it, if you can see on this side here, and I'm going to see, hopefully that focuses in pretty well there. It's a centrifugal brake system on it, and it goes from free all the way to 16. So it's super, super adjustable. And I really like that on a reel, really being able to fine tune it for if you're throwing, say, a weightless Senko, all the way up to a big, heavy, maybe a 1 ounce spinnerbait or something like that. So you can really adjust it, fine tune it here. And of course, you have your tension spool over here. And what I like about it, see if you guys can hear this, it has audible clicks. So you can reach down and just click it once or twice while you're out fishing and adjust it without having to really get down and look at it. You can just hear those audible clicks. You can actually feel it as well. And you're going to be able to adjust it once again with the tension spool and on the side over here with the dial. So speaking of the dial on the side over here, I'm going to show you a feature as far as getting this side plate off that I really like. It's a gull wing side plate. First of all, you have to have this dial set to free. Hopefully that'll focus in there where you guys can see that. So it's set to free. And all you're going to do, this little lever that's right here, there's a little switch. You're going to take it and you're just going to push it down to unlock. And when I do, that whole thing just pops off gull wing. It attaches, so it's not going to completely detach where it ends up in the lake, because there's some real designs that are like that where that whole side plate comes off. So you're not going to lose this while you're out on the water. Then when you do, I'll give you a look there. And then you've got an open view to the spool. And I'm going to show you how easy this spool comes out here. So once we've got this off, you can just grab the end of the spindle right there, and this whole spool comes off. And we'll take a closer look at this as well. So here's the spool on it. That way you're able to access that once you take that side plate off. And if I always try and put a little bit of oil here on the end of the spindle and then along that spool shaft, but it's easy to get in there and do any kind of maintenance that you want on the reel, or if you've got to get in there and you just want to do some in-depth cleaning on the body of the reel itself. Give you a little bit better look at the side there too, and it's just an easy on and off of this. And I'll show you how easy it goes back together as well. So guys, I'll give you a little look at the interior of the reel here. It is a one-piece machined aluminum frame, so that's nice. There's no flex in it whatsoever. It is really, really sturdy. So guys, before I reassemble this, I'm gonna let you know too, this spool is a 35.5 millimeter spool, so it's an oversized spool like I spoke about before, but it's super easy to reassemble this. I mean, all you do is just slide this spindle right down in there, so it sits down in there. And then you just swing the side plate over, push it down till you hear an audible click. There it is. Little lever goes back over to lock, and it's reassembled, and it's just that easy. So as far as the bearing count goes on this reel, it's 11 bearings, 10 bearings plus 1 roller bearing. You know, normally a higher bearing count equates to a smoother reel. This reel feels very, very smooth just by messing with it here. As far as the reel handle goes, and the clutch on it is very smooth, or the thumb bar. Everything engages nice and tight, but that high bearing count is not always hold true. Like I've got a Shimano SLX XT, much lower bearing count, but it's still a great reel, very smooth on the cast, very smooth on the retrieve. But anyway, 11 bearings on this Smoke S3. As far as the line capacity goes on this reel, it'll hold 150 yards of monofilament 14-pound test. It'll hold 210 yards of 30-pound braid. Of course, you can vary that up. That's just kind of the manufacturer statistics on it. And we're talking about line, and I have to put my cheaters on here so I can see this to show you guys. But right here on the end of the reel, hopefully you guys can see this. Sometimes these GoPros don't like to focus in up close as much, but you can see there are numbers right along here. See if I can get a little better look at it. So there's numbers right along here. It starts out, it goes from, let's see here, 8, then 10, 14, all the way to 65. And you can adjust this little dial right here so you can remember what type of capacity, or not capacity, but what pound test line you have on it. And that's handy when you get a lot of reels, and I've got more than probably any one person should have. Sometimes you can forget exactly what you have on what reel. So that's just a helpful little reminder there as far as having that on the end there just to easily adjust. So this reel also has the ACS 4.0 cast control system on it. What it's actually designed for is that it takes less energy to get that spool rotating, which equates to longer casting distance. It doesn't need to build up as much energy to get that going, and it makes the reel normally a little easier to control with a system like that. So I alluded to the braking system earlier. This is the star drag, the brake right here on the side. It also makes an audible click, which I like. Being able to know if you need to back it off 1, 2, or 3 clicks. Just, you can feel it, but you can also have that, you hear that audible click going into it. So there's the star drag on the side. Once again, 25 pounds of braking on it, which is, that's quite a bit for, like I say, a reel that's this size. Another thing I like about it too, if you notice the handle right here is vented or ported, whatever you want to call it. It's just cut out. It's aesthetically pleasing, but normally the reason things are done like that, and you can see on the star drag, it's done like that as well. Normally the reason that's done is to take weight off the reel. And speaking of weight, I weighed this reel on my scales here, digital scales, because the manufacturer said it weighed in at 6.9 ounces. I weighed it, it was 7.0, which it's pretty much right on the money, but 7 ounces is what this reel weighs. So pretty lightweight, especially for this compact design, and they're pretty much right on the money on how much this setup weighs. So guys, let's jump into the meat and potatoes on this reel though. How does it feel? So I can tell you on the handle turn on it, man, it's extremely smooth. The clutch or the thumb bar on it, it engages very easily and re-engages smoothly, for sure, something I look for. And speaking of engaging smoothly, something I always look for in any bait casting reel, any spinning reel, doesn't matter, is the anti-reverse on it. So when I rotate this spool and I stop it, you can see when I stop it that there's no back play in it here. The reason being, if it's got any kind of back play at all, that could cost you hook sets. When you go, especially if you slackline when you set hooks or something like that, and you're going around and there's a little bit, just a little bit of play in it, and you'll find that on some reels, that can cost you some hook sets. This does not have that. So you can see when I'm stopping this reel here, the handle right there, I mean, it's a dead stop. And I know my hands are shaking a little bit, and I apologize for that. I've always had shaky hands, but when I stop it, that right there, and I'm trying to put as much pressure on as I can, there's no back play in it. There's no flex, there's no back play. So that's something that this reel has, no back play, and I definitely want to see out of a quality reel. So that is kind of an up close look at the reel. Now I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to put some line on it. I'm going to put it on a rod. We're going to take it out the lake, and I'm going to do some casting with it, and we're going to use kind of what I would consider a medium weight lure, a 3/8 ounce lure for bass fishing, because I don't like to use one that's too light, one that's too heavy, as far as seeing what the reel can actually do. And I think 3/8 or thereabouts is a good representation of that. So we're going to throw some line on this on a rod, take it out to the lake, stick with me, we'll see how it works out. Okay guys, real world test now for the Quantum Smoke S3. What I paired it up with is a 7-foot medium heavy power fast action St. Croix Legend Extreme rod. So like I say, 7-foot rod, medium heavy power on it, fast action, because I like to power fish, and that's what I'm trying to match this reel up to. So that's what I've got on it. As far as the line that I put on the reel, I put on there some Sunline FC Sniper 14-pound test. And I may go a little lighter, down to 12, may go up to 17. We'll just have to see, but that's what I'm going to start with on this reel, is 14-pound test. Let's see how it does. Okay guys, so what I put on here is a 3/8 ounce chatterbait with a Zacho trailer. So that's something I throw a lot, so I want to see how it's going to perform with this bait, kind of a middle of the road weight bait. And I'm going to try just to overhand cast first here. Man, that is out there a country mile. That's excellent. As far as the feel on it goes, it's buttery smooth on the retrieve, I'm not gonna lie. So last cast there, overhand cast. I'm gonna try a little sidearm cast here, then we'll even do a roll cast with it and see how that goes, but we'll try this sidearm cast here. So sidearm, man, that is out there once again, country mile. As far as how it feels great. Just came through a little weed clump right there. But really smooth, really nice retrieval on it. So last cast here guys, I want to try a little one-handed roll cast on it, just see how it does. Once again, it's flawless, no back cast, and I'll show you how I've got it set up here in just a second as well. So one more time here guys with the overhand cast, just to make sure we're not going to get any loops or backlashes, anything like that in the line. And that thing is out there. And once again, the retrieval on it, nice and smooth. When I stop it, anti-reverse is instantaneous, which is what we want to see. So super happy with the hand feel on this too. Palming it, feels great. And once again, nice and buttery smooth on the retrieve. So guys, you saw the casting on that once again, and man, it is casting a country mile, and that's just with this 3/8 ounce lure on here. I imagine a 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce heavier. It's going to go a country mile, because it was already casting a country mile, but it's just going to go stratosphere probably. But anyway, as far as the feel on it goes, love it. It feels fantastic in the hand. Castability, I've been out here messing around with it for probably about 20 minutes before I started filming anything, and I haven't had a single backlash, any kind of issues with it whatsoever. And if you wonder what I have it set on here, I've got my dial right here, just set from, it goes from free to 16. I have it set on 5, and I've got the tension knob very, very loose. I mean, you can see when I take this bait off of here and I'll back up a little bit and let it drop, that thing's moving real quick. I mean, if I let it hit the ground without thumbing it, feathering it, it's going to backlash on me. It's going to start back spooling. But once again, I'm really, really impressed with the Quantum Smoke S3. So we talked about a whole lot of different things as far as what's on this bait caster. If some of the stuff you want a little more information on, for example, gear ratios, I have a video on that. I'll leave a link down in the description. I also have a video on casting a bait caster, a little bit of a different technique that you might not have seen or noticed before. I'll leave a link for that as well. Have a ton of rod and reel review videos, as well as other gear review videos. I'll leave some of those links down there too. Hope you enjoyed the review on this Quantum Smoke S3 reel. If you got something out of today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your time. Thanks again, and remember, until that next video, get out there and fish.